Hello, and welcome to this Eyes of Harmony podcast, our second attempt after I fucked it when we recorded it. I absolutely fucked it. I tried to...
We did a full... That was supposed to be our comeback. We did a full, hour plus thing, with, our fresh discussion about it. And it was all lost.
I completely fucked it. I tried to, export it as the same name as the file that it was. So, obviously, it was trying to write over itself. Oh, I completely fucked it because I tried to save it in the same location. It's because it accidentally... Oh, man, I'm not going to go into all the details if people don't care. But you don't care. Anyway, Doctor Who, that's what you're here for. On this channel, we talk old, new and upcoming Doctor Who. And we kind of been quiet for a bit after all the controversies that happened. It kind of just killed... Just wanted to talk about Doctor Who, it made us kind of very, very upset and sad, and I think we just needed a break, really. We'd kind of done it for over a year, doing the kind of, almost weekly, at least fortnightly stuff.
Yeah,
so
unless we had stuff on. But
and then final year unis, etc. You don't need our sob stories. You don't care. We're here to talk.
I know we just uploaded Castive Alpha. That was meant to be after this, but,
Oh, yeah. Whatever. You got a review. So,
that was recorded January, so,
we might get another one soon. I am feeling in Doctor Who mood again, though. I was just saying to Conrad, I'm very feeling in Doctor Who. A while, maybe 6 months ago, I did series 1 to 5. I kind of smashed out watching that, and then I kind of dropped off, mainly because I feel like that's when Doctor Who really changed. Series 5 kind of played it safe. It's a great season. It's not a critique of it, but it played it safe by continuing the same formula. 6 onwards is where everything really changes. Moffat really made it his own. But it was a good, kind of stepping off point for a bit, and I can see that's why probably a lot of people also stepped off around that time. Because really it does feel very much like this is kind of the revival era. That's that first bit. If I was ever going to, really map out, eras of Doctor Who, that's where I'd actually cut it off after the Big Bang. That's where I'd go. That's the end of the early revival. Then there's the continuation.
Yeah. I know it's easy enough to just categorize it as classic and new Who, but there's so even within the classic series, different parts of the classic series feel like completely different shows. Yeah.
There's the Philip Cliff, and then
the first 2 Doctors. The third Doctor is a completely different beast, and then most of the fourth Doctor's era is
many different eras,
very different to that. And then basically from the end of the fourth Doctor to the seventh Doctor is basically an era. I guess.
Yeah, I'd say the last of the fourth Doctor's series though is still kind of. It feels more like that side of the era. Obviously, all the changes. It's the the John Nathan Turner era, basically. That's a very definitive.
Yeah, that is consistent. But even when Tom Baker, you could almost argue there were 2 eras, Hinchcliffe and post Hinchcliffe.
Yes,
basically.
Yeah. It's that is also another and even I'd argue that. I mean, William Hartnell's era is 2 different, very distinct. There's the Ian and Barbara era, and as soon as they leave, that's when it really changed. The Time Meddler onwards becomes very different. The style of storytelling and, the show, it really changes once Ian and Barbara leave, which is, that is a really, that first, block, Series 1 up to the, up to basically the chase. Is a really in the chase you can kind of start to feel the differences, the change in what the show is.
Well, I think the show for me really changes once Verity Lambert leaves.
Really. Oh yeah.
But that was the Web Planet, was it?
Yeah, the Web Planet. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then a couple after, they left not long after Ian and Barbara. They were what was it? After that, it was is it the Crusade was before that, wasn't it? Space Museum, Crusade, then I think it's the Chase. Maybe it is after that. Yeah, Space Museum and all that happened. Can't remember off the top of my head. Even though my collection's literally just over there, I'm going to ignore it. You've got it closer.
It's before the Space Museum's Web Planet.
Okay.
Before the Chase.
Yes, so I was right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
After that. but yeah, it's like eras and that. But anyway, so obviously talking about black and white era and kind of the early days. So obviously, Evil of the Daleks has been announced, and animation looks great. That is definitely a strong suit of animation.
Yeah, we already got a glimpse of it, of course, because we talked about the initial leak, which, of course, if there was any shadow of a doubt that was fake, it's not fake.
Yeah, it was just too much detail, and it was such a weird. If you were gonna fake an animation, you'd like fake final things.
Yeah.
You wouldn't fake a early stage mock up because that would just be.
I mean, I think you could. Yeah,
I think someone would, but
I've certainly seen some elaborate leaks to where people try to make up in production. Well, more in terms of games, people post supposed leaks of maybe a character in the fighting game, but it's unfinished, and it might not look so good.
See, in video games that makes more sense, right? Because that is where you would get a leak at an early stage like that. But I feel like for something like an animation, you'd leak a final image. That's what you'd leak if it would, if you're trying to fake. You'd be super elaborate, right? You'd be a super elaborate troll if you were putting that much detail into a not finished thing. But so looks great, super excited, can't wait. I literally know nothing really about this story because that's what I do with the missing ones. I've decided to stay away from the Wikipedias and reading all about them just because then it's like new Doctor Who. It's the final time that I get a new feeling of watching a classic Doctor Who, which I haven't seen before, which is super rare now that I have all of them on DVD. It's super freaking rare. So every time a new one comes out, I'm so excited for it. Even when it was the Telesnaps Underwater Menace, I was so freaking pumped for that because it's brand new. It's and it's my favorite era. I love the black and white era. So
I mean, for me, I read plot summaries because I had this elaborate comprehensive history book when I was younger. So I had plot summaries of detailed things.
Oh, I think I've read along those, but apart from that, I have no idea.
But I haven't read that book in a very long time. So I mean, I know I picked up bits of the plot here and there just by watching videos on YouTube, but yeah, I mean, I find that generally I don't know enough about most of these stories going into them to really, know fully what's going to happen. And in any case, even regardless, even if you hear a bit of the plot, that's not really. In these sorts of cases, it's not really experiencing the episode, right?
Yeah.
Because you got these expectations. Don't you? You see here, even the Daleks, just Daleks going to appear and the Doctor's going to beat them. Shocker, but it's what. Yeah, it's
how
everything else.
It's how and everything that comes with it.
Exactly.
It was
for me, that's kind of filling in the gaps and finding out what happened here. There's so many things great about Evil. I really want to see I know we've seen bits stuff from the Emperor Dalek because we had some of the surviving clips. But, it'd be cool to find out what the plan is. Emperor Dalek.
That's it. That's what is so exciting because I don't know it, and it's super awesome.
I almost said Evil Emperor Zurg there.
That would be a twist. I mean, that would definitely catch you off. It was, because even Macro, I was really excited for. I didn't dig it actually as a story. I didn't dig it at all, which was a bit of a shame really, because I've obviously put I was waiting for that one to finally be animated. I was like, oh my god, series. I've been waiting, to see this since series 3 when they appeared. And then, didn't quite hit for me. Maybe maybe I need to rewatch it. Maybe I wasn't in the right kind of headspace at the time. But
yeah, it felt a little bit unfocused, mainly on account of the fact that I think they just kind of shoehorned Jamie into there. So there's the dialogue and the actual plot lines, and Ben's thrown out of the story for ages. Jamie's not really, it's it doesn't. Yeah, not the greatest.
Had too many companions to deal with, but it's fine. It's good. I'm glad we got it. I'd prefer we have all of these.
Exactly.
And then obviously, kind of it brings questions for the next one, which you found. I don't know where you found this, but they were caught filming behind the scenes. Video.
Yeah, well, so I think it was. I actually heard this from a video from the YouTuber Josh Snares. He was kind of talking about what. The expectations of what could be next for animated Doctor Who. And basically, currently, the two things going around is one, lots of people are saying Galaxy 4 is going to happen, and two, they were spotted filming special features for in where they filmed the Abominable Snowman, the actual filming locations. They were filming special features
Yeah.
there. So people think those two are going to be the next couple of animations.
To me, it makes sense, right? You do the Web of Fear special edition, which we'll get onto, and then then do Abominable Snowman. It makes sense, like, to try and do those almost back to back. I mean, if they're filming the special features, it's pretty much got to be almost done.
I think they do them a fair ways in advance. Actually, I think particularly when you're like a lot of the special features, and it might be sad to say a little, sort of, but like when you have dealing with like a lot of actors
Your older generation, yeah.
You're gonna want to get those things filmed as soon as possible. So they have that they're there to actually have content for the release, right?
Yeah,
They probably also do the commentary well in advance, because I mean you don't need a whole lot to do a lot of those and just film the footage, right? Particularly since like DVD releases are so like spread out, you might as well just get them all sorted. So it doesn't mean that's going to be like immediate or anything. I'm not even necessarily saying the Abominable Snowman's next just because they're filming the special features, because like I think I remember from like the old DVD releases, like they'd film special features quite a long way in advance.
I mean, with that, they didn't have. I mean, in advance would make sense, because I mean, all they have to do is put them on, slightly clean them up, and put them on DVD. This is animation, so I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it would have been decided. Like, it's definitely going to be the next one. When we get it, is a different question mark, because animation obviously takes far longer than just putting the episodes on DVD like they used to, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it would happen concurrently, right? It's happening at the same time.
They don't just put the episodes on DVD. There's a heck ton of restoration that goes
they do some restoration.
Particularly on certain episodes.
But
like,
do you get what I mean? Like, animation still would take longer than all of that kind of thing. Like, for sure.
Yeah, for the most part. I'd say potentially some of the colorization might...
Oh, yeah, that's an extreme case, though, right? Right, with the full colorizing of... Like, what was it? Invasion of the Dinosaurs, that had to be colorized.
Oh yeah, well the episode one
the
that
Mind
was
of Evil, yeah, that's crazy.
Well, the Invasion of the Dinosaurs, they couldn't properly colorize episode 1 because the technique which they've used for like most of the other ones, which sort of goes in and like looks like zoom in really far, and like there's like little bits of color data which they're able to use to kind of recreate the whole image. Of course, with other touching up, and sometimes they have like low quality sources which they're able to combine. It depends on the episode. Invasion of Dinosaurs only had certain color signals, so like the end result was actually not particularly great for that in like the release DVD, which is why I'm really hoping that we get a special edition of that someday with like a properly colorized episode 1, because there's like several videos on YouTube of like fan like colorizations of certain scenes from that, and you can get it looking really good. Like, it'd take a while, because
I'm sure it'll happen at some point.
You'd have to do a lot of manual like coloring. Like that might, if they do a proper episode 1, that might be the first and maybe only Blu-ray release they ever get, if they have it on like the Blu-ray collection, for example. But I kind of would hope for a separate DVD release if we could get it, because like
I'm sure they would. But anyway, yeah, Web of Fear, as we mentioned. Oh, Galaxy 4 would be great. I love that story. I love Airlock. I really think it's a great one, and easy to animate because all the women look the same. Like, simple. So
just
literally copy and paste.
Yeah,
copy and paste them. It's so easy. Like, all the Chumleys look the same. All those big ugly aliens, they look the same. Yeah, the reals look the same. So, really simple episode to do. So yeah, and then that hopefully means more First Doctor stories, because I feel like the second Doctor's. I feel like the second Doctor's getting a bit. I'd prefer a bit more like, a bit more one and then one of the other.
I wouldn't mind just pushing ahead and finish it.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I do love that first era so much that it's
same.
I would love to see. I want Marco Polo.
That's probably
just to complete season 1.
Don't we all? But again, it's probably one of the more tricky episodes to do, because they don't actually have a lot to go off.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they got pictures and they got audio, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, then that, I think, just to open up to interpretation, I think, they did that with Reign of Terror, like the doctor's room or wherever they went to in like episodes like 4 or something. They just completely designed it because there were no notes, there were no pictures or anything from that scene. So they're like, let's just design it how we like. Looks great, doesn't stand out, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You'd think that's actually what happened in the episode. That's what it looked like. So it's awesome. It's only because I know that from reading it. But anyway, yeah, Web of Fear animation looks grim. Obviously, Marvel's What If just came out, and that's kind of what you wanted it to be.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right?
Like,
I was
what
going to bring
is.
that up, is because, like, the Web of Fear Special Editions CG is like, because they try similar things in a way, because like they both sort of go for this sort of cell shaded,
fluid,
sort of more
movement.
cartoon look. The difference is, well, budgetary, of course. But one looks like a PlayStation 2 game, and the other one looks like a high quality TV animation, right? I mean, again, I know the BBC don't have the budget, but like
that's when you don't do it.
Cell shading is one of the most obvious sort of things to get wrong if it's wrong. So, like, I don't think it was even worth bothering in the first place because, like, it just looks bad. Because they did the same thing with Dalek, right? And Dalek was free. The Dalek series.
Daleks exclamation mark.
Yeah. That was free. This isn't, and it doesn't look that much better. I mean, they've actually tried to animate human characters, which, of course, the Dalek show didn't do. But, like, if you're just looking at it, like, it's not that
good.
much better, and that was awful. So it's like, we're paying for this.
well, that's the thing. I'm not paying for that.
I'm not.
No, I'm hoping one day episode 3 will be returned as well,
and then we'll get a third DVD release.
And then that'll be the one I get. And then it will probably have a special feature of that third episode, and then I'll watch it.
Special edition.
Then I'll watch it when it's like, But they like messed up the cover, didn't they? They put like the word special edition in the wrong place, like
bit too
all
low.
over the way.
Yeah,
all over the place. I love that design as well, though. I do love the cover design. It looks so good. I love the original. I love this one as well. Bit like Enemy of the World. I love the original DVD design they did, and I love the special edition one as well. They were both very cool. I actually
do prefer the original in that case.
I think it doesn't spoil the ending.
True, yeah.
I did love the orange though. The orange stuck out on the shelf as well. I'm looking over at it now, and it doesn't shine like it used to. It had that nice red, didn't it? The original.
Yeah.
It was really nice. The spines are kind of a sign that it really sticks out, and like when they did like really bright ones, suddenly it really sticks out. Like even Time Lash. I mean, terrible story, but it sticks out quite nicely. And the two doctors right next to it, like boom. Very colourful. My eye always gets drawn to like the Sixth Doctor era just because of the spines. I mean, small detail, but whatever. That's my humble opinion. But anyway, so I think that's enough on DVDs and all that. So yeah, obviously there was Comic-Con, and they obviously said that now. So instead of series 13 being actually 8 episodes, what we're getting is a 6-episode series and then 2 specials, is what was revealed.
Now, 3 specials.
Well, now 3 specials. We'll get to that in a bit, but we're going to chronologically talk as if like we're going through the time and reacting to it week by week. So yeah, so obviously we got Comic-Con. They showed, talked about, it's going to be one long continuous story. That excites me. I think that's
cliffhangers at the end of every single one. So it's like one continuous story, which it's really nice. Like sort of, I liked the idea of stuff like the Key to Time, where it's that they sort of had that idea where it's just like one story after another. Though there might have been gaps in the Key to Time. I don't fully
not particularly. They usually kind of
I know each time they were going after a different part of the key, but once they step in the TARDIS and once they step out, it's not like they have a cliffhanger at the end of last week.
I think they did a couple times. I swear they did or something. I don't know. Maybe I need to rewatch it. It's been a long time. Been a long ass time since I got the box set, which must have been like a decade ago now. But yeah, See, this is the so I think it's good because I think it plays into Chibnall's strengths. You know, Broadchurch and those kind of things are one long stories. So I feel like this is like that's his strength, right? Longer form storytelling. I think so. This might be his strongest like scripts and season yet. I'm hoping.
Well, let's hope. I mean,
for a
we'll
high.
see. You know, we don't
Well,
know that.
he brought on what was it? Who wrote Villa of Diodati, Max Aldrin or something, and she that's probably best episode of Jodie's era, and so I think she was helping him with it. So that gives me a lot of okay, cool. He didn't just do this alone. He worked with someone. My only concern is that basically, if you don't like what the story arc is, you're not gonna like all 6 episodes.
Yeah.
That's the only issue with this kind of storytelling is if you don't dig it, the whole kind of thing. It's like how heavy does it lean into each adventure? Is it like a small arc but still something that makes them go to each location, or is it like a really big, in your face kind of plot?
I imagine, and I guess the key to time is also kind of apt for this, but I always sort of imagine that it will probably be like, every week it will be like they'll be, say, in a different place, maybe facing a different enemy, but they're linked, and how they get to that place might happen at the end of the last episode, or the event might happen at the beginning of the next episode, even if there is a crossover. So that's what I think, is that they will still be sort of unique adventures, but contained within like one long arc.
That's what I'm hoping.
From like episode to episode. Like I said, it's going to be continuous, but I don't think you could spend like 3 weeks on essentially like one planet solving one issue, right?
Yeah,
They'll be different. They'll go places. They'll whatever their end game, whatever they're trying to stop here, will take them places. We already sort of know that, and there'll be things and areas as we go. So
yeah, I'm hoping. Like, obviously, we know Sontaran's Weeping Angels from set photos, and we've seen that big like looming character with the kind of skull face. So that's and they've we've seen them in historical kind of wear, so we know that that's they're going through time and going to different places. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, the teaser was fine.
Yeah, I mean, the classic thing of the teasers of this era is literally just show the companions, just show the companions, and that's it. Like maybe a guest star for one shot.
Yeah, I didn't feel like my first thought coming out of this was like, yep, that
is
looks
Doctor
sort
Who.
of like Doctor Who. Yeah, it wasn't like, wow, I'm so excited for this thing or that thing or whatever. It's just like, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I find that they just you want to show a bit, just one monster, like just show that big looming guy. Don't show the classic ones returning. Show just something new, a new threat. Because then, like, how much can we speculate? There's like just a shot of a villain isn't going to spoil anything, right? It won't spoil anything. Like, you could show, like, using the example of the last series, if they showed us a Dreg in the teaser, it wouldn't spoil anything.
No.
Because we're then going to watch the episodes still. Like,
we don't know what this like new guy's role is in all this.
Oh yeah, I mean we're thinking the sibling of the one that's killed in Fugitive of Jodie.
Yeah, that's what people are saying because of the whole.
They look the same kind of outfit.
Yeah.
It could be.
Game of Thrones actor, isn't it, playing?
Yes, really good as well. I loved him in Game of Thrones. He was a great character.
Enough of it to know, so
he's great. He'll be really good, I think. Really good star to get on the show. He can do serious and he can do kind of light moments. Really good. Like, he'll be great. So yeah, just looking forward to it. I mean, John Bishop was hilarious during the panel, and I think getting a comedian in as a companion does really work. I mean, Matt Lucas worked really well. Bradley Walsh was great, while I think the writing could have been better for him, I still think, he was great. He brought a lot.
So he didn't really do the comedy side of it.
Not too much, but he was that kind of cheeky, chappy kind of character, right? He was...
Yeah, guess he had his moments.
I enjoyed
yeah.
him on
But
screen. Like
whenever I think of Bradley Walsh, I think in Doctor Who, I think of the more serious, emotional performances
yeah.
rather than the actual comedy side of his.
yes, yeah, it's true. But I guess Matt Lucas
Unlike
never
someone
really
like
had.
Not Doll,
Yeah,
who I
he never really had those deep moments, though. That was the thing. I mean, he had a couple.
at certain points, but like that wasn't. Yeah, he was.
He was more the comic relief character.
Yeah, yeah. But then you went to reel him back.
Yeah,
It was what was so
Matt
important
Lucas
about
was
that,
great.
why he
Yeah,
worked.
that's why. Yeah, brilliant. Love that. I mean, we watched some Series 10 recently. So good, so enjoyable. But yeah, so yeah, looking forward to that. So it was all sounding strong, and then out of nowhere, Chibnall and Jodie are leaving. Jodie, I had a feeling about. Obviously, 3 series and out. It's kind of a classic thing.
Kind of standard, but it's the whole difference is that people have pointed out she is actually in terms of time in the role
The longest,
one of the longest serving doctors. Period. She might even be like.
She won't be Tom Baker, but she's about
She's
the
not
same
as much as
length
Tom
of-
Baker. I think she's like second though in terms of
Yeah,
actual overall time. Like
yeah.
it's really wild to think, considering in that time there's been so little content.
Yeah.
there's been gaps. The series have been shorter. It's like while yes, in terms of the time she's been there, it's felt like your responsibility to the Doctor is constant while you're play in the role. You have to kind of embody that, and you have to make appearances.
It's important to be
gotta
that
hold to
character
a
the whole
standard.
time. Yeah.
But but it's also simultaneously felt like she hasn't had enough time because
So
the
little
series have been
episodes.
shorter.
I guess
and
we'll
it's felt like there's
see.
been so many gaps. It's just felt like there's been even less than what there even actually was, right? Because
Yeah.
it just felt like there's been less. So like I understand, but it's also sort of like
It's a shame because I feel like we just haven't had that much of Jodie and
I still
this
don't
era.
think I know her Doctor, right? And I don't feel like the writers ever did either.
Well, the first series, it was like, I know he got them to write it and didn't tell them it was a woman Doctor till like later drafts, which I think that was a mistake. I feel like they should have more leaned into it. I get playing it safe, but then you just end up writing generic character if you just don't give them specific
I don't
traits.
think all the time you needed it. Like I'm sort of glad in a way that the Doctor is just the Doctor, and like I don't.
But this is the thing, like being
I
the
think
Doctor, there's character traits, but when you make it really generic, it's just heroic, good person. Like what?
Well, no, that's the thing. Like the one personality trait I think Jodie got was bubbly.
Yeah, but I think that's just
it.
her in general. I think that's just her being herself rather than
And it's like like I know the infamous example is like 1 week where she's saying, "Oh, I don't like conspiracies," and another week where she's saying, "Oh, I love a good conspiracy."
Yeah.
It's like, was there really any an awful lot of dialogue between? Like that's what we
Writers.
need. That's what people have been saying. I've seen, is that really Doctor Who should have a writers' room, like a lot of other modern shows have, which they don't. We're still sort of going with the old method of lots of like writers spread across the country, just, sending over drafts and whatnot without
Feedback,
like any sort of that.
No one going over them and checking for consistency.
Yeah. Which I think. I think it'd be good to kind of bring us up to like the standard of other shows of this type. It'd be nice to get like a bit more cohesion, a bit more of that sort of like bouncing off ideas and actually finding out who they want Doctor to be. Because like again, I don't think we've ever found it. Like even even less than other Doctors. Like I know certain Doctors have changed from like. So, like, in particular, like Peter Capaldi, I think changed season on season in terms of what
massively.
they wanted Doctor to be. But each season, you knew, what you got a few episodes in, you sort of knew, what they were going for this season.
Yeah.
Right.
He
I
grew
don't think I
over
ever got
time.
there with Jodie. Like she was, like I said, I don't know if there was ever like a moment where it just kind of clicked. Like with.
Well, I'm
like,
hoping
with
this
other
season.
Doctors.
I'm hoping.
Like,
sort of like Capaldi, right? He worked best basically in 10. Series 10 is like the definitive, I'd say, the best version. He's great in Heaven Sent, but I feel like that's where it kind of started. That kind of like, you know, it did move over. That kind of this, you could have the seriousness and the silly, but he balanced it so well. But 8 was a bit too much, just the seriousness without the silly.
Yeah.
His silly was more just rudeness rather than quirkiness.
Yeah,
you know,
with a couple of exceptions, like we had Robots with Sherwood.
Oh yeah,
that was a really bizarre outlier.
Definitely a Matt Smith episode repurposed.
Oh
you know?
yeah,
it's so obviously a Matt Smith episode repurposed. But it is what it is. So yeah, I'm hoping this series is like the Jodie series that I'm like, this is the one that I always go back to and watch. This is, you know, like for Capaldi, it will always be series 10. That will be the one that I always go. If I really feel like any Capaldi, it will most likely be a series 10 DVD going.
I'm still probably more fond of series 9 than what most people are, but I generally agree.
I feel like with series 9, it's a lot of 2-parters, so it's like.
Well, yeah, that's what I liked though about it. Like,
I did like it, but if you go back
nice
to watch it,
to actually get
longer stories. I mean, we'll see. But I'm excited. Obviously, then with this announcement of Jodie, like what's weird is Chris Chibnall leaving as well. That was a shocker.
Yeah.
Most have stayed for 2 Doctors.
Like I'm glad, but at the same time, it's like. I'm really shocked. Like,
weird, right?
It doesn't. Yeah, it feels bizarre. Like I know he says about having this whole like, oh, we had this whole 3-season and out sort of pact, but it's like.
Didn't he also say 5-year plan?
Well, no, it wasn't him. It was somebody. Somebody, a close collaborator, said that they had like a 5-year plan for this.
5 years, including he planned the pandemic. He's like, and then there's going to be a pandemic, which is gonna knock on this like wild.
No, it's sort of bizarre to me. It really is. Like, and he said, "Oh, I had this whole thing mapped out, and you know now it's coming to an end or whatever." It's like. I mean, we've always said this about like the whole China's Child thing, but it felt like such a throwaway thing in the Ghost Monument
in the first
throughout
one,
like that whole series 11, and it's like suddenly people
then they accelerated
it up,
crazy,
made it important. So it's like, was there an arc? It like what we're seeing on screen doesn't feel like there was ever really a plan.
Yeah,
and they sort of you know were winging it. Like I mean, I can't speculate because I don't really, of course, know what happens behind the scenes, but everything we've been seeing from like the shortened episode count.
Do you think the BBC wants someone who makes it quicker?
Special effects things to, so many odd things about this whole era just screams to me, production issues. Like it screams to me. Like even if like on the outside we haven't necessarily, I guess, seen any direct like confirmation of that. It's just what it looks like. It feels wrong, and unorganized and kind of very unfocused. And
I think. Do you think that's the reason why he's leaving? Do you think that BBC didn't want to extend his contract?
Possibly. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, the end of the last season, the backlash was huge, and I mean, I know there were certainly people like. Defending the whole Timeless Child thing and the way that the storyline was going. Like, people absolutely were, but like, I don't think, there's ever been like it probably even more so than Jodie's like, being picked in the first place. I think that's probably the single most controversial, explosive, and toxic like. Element introduced in Doctor Who that I can even think of.
I think the issue was it wasn't just people who didn't like a woman Doctor and all those. I mean, it was so coming. It was coming. They set it up. Moffat completely set it up. It was so obvious that it was going to come. Right? It was so obvious it was going to come. Just get on with it. Grow up, basically. It's a
but
fucking
there
alien.
Certain
but it's even people who liked.
Let it go.
Even people who liked Jodie didn't like. The Timeless, I see comments all the time. People being like, "I love Jodie and everything, but I really don't like what they did with this." And that's, I think, that is the issue. And and this is the thing. I don't really want to judge it because I know that there's still so much about this Timeless Child thing to be told. Right? It's really not a final like we're like halfway through this story, whatever. And this 6 episode thing is let's be honest, is most likely going to be a Timeless Child thing.
Yeah.
It'll be a continuation. It's got to be. At this point, like they had to cut the episodes down massively. So obviously I think they're going to wrap it up mostly in this 6. Then there's going to be the 2 specials, which my guess is another Dalek one, seeing as that's Chibnall's kind of thing.
Yeah, that will happen.
And then this pirate one, this like kind of Chinese pirate, I think is what it is. And one of the directors who's on it is studied under the Annihilation and Ex Machina director. So she's a great find. Can't remember the name off the top of my head, but that would be really great. So that's obviously one of the specials. Those will probably both be like 60 minutes, right? Oh, actually, wait. Was Revolution of the Daleks, was that 90 minutes?
Might have been.
Was it? I think it was, wasn't it? Or like 80 minutes. It was 80 minutes, yeah. It was like the length of Day of the Doctor. Yeah. So I'm hoping the 2 specials are like that length, right? And then obviously now we got confirmed the Centenary kind of celebration for BBC, like launching. We're getting, that will be Jodie's regeneration story, which they've just started filming this week. So they've clearly known for a while that this was going to happen. To write an episode and get it filming, that's a lot of fucking planning. That's at least written like 4 months ago, finished 4 months ago, started writing about 6
months.
6 months.
I just
ago.
wonder what the plan was pre-pandemic, right?
Probably for her to leave at the end of that series, would be my guess.
Yeah, or on the special. Like, say if the 2 specials were sort of, I guess, there are 8 episodes in the series, and then like
it was supposed to be 10. That's what it was originally, and then they cut it down to 8, which then has become 6-episode series, 2 specials, and then an extra special on top just so that she can regenerate, and they have something for this celebration, because I mean it is the longest running BBC show of science fiction. So yeah, I'm happy we're getting obviously more Doctor Who. That's great. It means we'll get 3 things next year, which is good. 6 episodes this year. That's like the most consistent kind of Doctor Who happening. Like even if there's gaps between it. So one's going to be like a New Year special, the other one's a spring special, and then there'll be the autumn special. Yeah, is what they've said. Or I'm not sure, but I read spring somewhere, so I'm guessing that's from something. Don't pinch of salt, but it makes sense not to be right on top of each other. So either like spring, summer, May time, April, May, which is cool. That's cool. Do you think all the companions will leave? Do you think? I mean, they definitely haven't. Yeah. You think? Well, I think Yaz would. I think
if we're going into a new era, they're all leaving. Yeah. Like I don't think there's going to be crossover. Like I think if they're going, they're all going. I think that's just going to be it.
Is it? Do you think that's a shame, or do you prefer that?
I prefer that in terms of companions. Like Mandip Gill has had like quite a long run, right? Really.
I guess Mandip Gill definitely will leave. That's
John Bishop.
Probably a one-off kind of
thinking of it kind of in the Nardole sort of sense. His story up will probably begin and end this series.
He's been filmed doing the pirate one though, because he was in Pirate Get Up, so he's definitely in the 2 specials.
Okay then, never mind then.
Maybe he leaves in the special though. Maybe he's not in the Centenary, but you could.
I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I guess I haven't seen enough of that kind of go off.
But I mean, Doctor Who's confirmed to continue, because I saw someone got an email being like, the new Doctor, the 14th Doctor will land in 2022, basically, as in like.
Yeah, well, we already knew, like, because I think the series has, is contracted to. I think it's contracted up to like
season 18, wasn't it, or something like that?
Something like that. I think. Yeah, like we've got a fair way to go. I mean, granted, not that can't be ripped up. There's like a disaster, but like I think we're safe for a while, even if currently the whole fan base is sort of in shambles.
I think I think a new era will help. I think a new era
I absolutely think so. Like I'm I've never like I've liked elements of the Chris Chibnall era, in terms of its acting and some of the episodes and some of the writers they've got in, and the directing, as well. Yeah, it's generally been very high quality stuff, but like I haven't really taken to the era as a whole. So like I'm personally very glad and looking forward to see who's next. Although simultaneously quite worried because
Who is
you know,
next?
a lot of people, a lot of people have been brought up are very much still like period. I mean, I sort of sent you a message
Oh
about this.
yes, yeah.
A lot of the speculation of people being like for the next head writer are very much like period drama writers and very much
Yeah.
like sort of that like his more historical side of it. And I mean, I do enjoy my historicals just fine, right? You know, and that's been one of the generally actually in this era in
The
particular,
best
a lot of the
stories.
best stories have been historical. So you have like Rosa and you have the Demons of the Punjab and stuff like that, where you know they've
I
had
like
some
Nikola
really
Tesla
good,
as well.
really and Nikola Tesla, yeah, where they've really like done some really good historicals. But like that's for me, Doctor Who
You want the
is
sci-fi.
and should always be a sci-fi show, right? And Doctor Who, in terms of its history, has always excelled on the back of its, you know, exciting space stories and unique planets and aliens and monsters and, you know, like think of a lot of the best Doctor Who stories like of the past, and that's been it. You know, Doctor Who is best when Doctor Who is very firmly planted in that sci-fi rather than focusing too much on the historical. Like the historical's good, that should always be there, and there always should be a good balance, right, between the two. But this era has felt like they focused on present day Earth and historical way, way more than anything to do with sci-fi. Like we had like a few good standouts. Like I think I brought that up for Can You Hear Me? I think was the episode.
Yeah, that one was great.
That has to. Yeah, I remember bringing it up when we had our first reaction. Was like, yes, it's refreshing because you know there are some really interesting, unique sci-fi concepts in here. Well, maybe not necessarily unique, but you know some really cool sci-fi concepts in here, which they have. You know, and I was like excited about that because it's like finally, you know, finally we're seeing what I love about Doctor Who back in the show again. And then yeah, we don't really. I mean, I guess you know we've got a whole lot of stuff with the Gallifrey, but like
That's not really. That's more drama though than I'd say
that was far
sci-fi
more-
concepts,
yeah.
right? Sci-fi
Yeah,
concepts.
exactly.
You're thinking more like Waters of Mars is more sci-fi. That's on a in a space station, rockets, that kind of interesting villain, and how it's working, the water, the physics behind that. It's interesting. The water always wins. It's such a classic line. Water
And
always.
like,
Water's patient. Water waits. Water always wins. Fucking
And
brilliant.
yeah, you think back to the classic series, what are some of the best stories? You have like Ark in Space, Genesis of the Daleks, you have, Jason Androzani and so many others which are all set on other planets, focusing on different cultures and the struggles and tribulations that occur from each of them, That's where Doctor Who for me is at its best, and that's why the fact that it's being drowned out by like far more of like the grounded Earth stories and the historicals is deeply concerning. Which is why for like next head writer, personally, I was like, I really want someone with a background in sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
Someone who's written a lot of sci-fi, who can bring that kind of spark, which I think this
The show needs
additional space spark, which I feel like the show really
it's got the
personally
time.
needs
It's
to
got
kind of-
time down. It's just not got space down. I think
Exactly, and that's what we need. Back in the show. That is its biggest weakness for me right now. Well, amongst a few things, but that is really for me what's kind of held back a lot of my personal excitement for a lot of this. So that's what I'm hoping for. But the current rumor mill is saying period drama. Okay.
I guess
It might still be good.
It depends.
But,
It depends. Because the thing is I'd argue, right? Russell T Davies had only really written drama. He'd not written much science fiction when he came into it, right? He was more a drama writer. I mean, he'd done like a couple of the the novels,
Yeah.
right? But his main TV writing, he'd done soaps, he'd done The Second Coming, and these were all like more character-driven pieces, and you can see that in Russell T Davies' era. He is very much family drama. It is a soap. Doctor Who, when it came back, is a soap. It's a space soap drama. Okay.
Yeah.
But so I wouldn't quite say that. I think it's down to who they get and what their plans are. I think you could get a great period drama, and then they're like, right, I'm going to write the historicals, but I'll get other people to write the sci-fi ones. That I'd be fine with. It's just it's about what your plans are. What do you want? Who do you get?
Indeed.
Who do you get? What do you do? What's the plans? And I think It's
I
down
think
to Hugh. I'd prefer someone who is super in control, really organized, who works on period dramas, than someone who maybe is sci-fi but then isn't as organized and then do we, because there could be a drop in quality on that front, right?
well, potentially. I mean, I'm not saying they just settle with anybody, but like I, in a way, almost like to see, a degree of, a bit more of that kind of experimentation and like ambition with space rather than just kind of going with same old, same old. Because I mean, that's the thing about the Chibnall era. Like it's different for Doctor Who to kind of have this focus on more historical, but at the same time, it feels very much in line with like a lot of the shows which are popular right now. The Crown, Poldark,
Mm-mm.
various
It's been like other
other
BBC
shows like that.
shows.
There's
Other
so
BBC
many
shows.
shows. Yeah, there's so many shows nowadays, both on BBC and Netflix. Like some of the most popular stuff right now are the more
Period dramas.
historical, like
Yeah.
period dramas. So it's felt like more than anything an attempt to sort of fit in with like what's popular right now, rather than excel and show off why Doctor Who is so special, right? It's just like, we have this show that could be, a period drama, so let's make it a period drama. Like when Doctor Who at its best is so much more. Doctor Who is a lot of things. It can be a period drama, more like a period drama.
I think that's it. You want to go one way and the other way. You want to show the variety. That's what's exciting about the episodic.
That's what's so good about the show is, it can be anything. It can do anything. You can be anywhere, and it's a show with basically unlimited possibilities. And, all it takes is the right, creative vision to really, that doesn't necessarily need to fit in with like, the last episode, the episode before. And, it could be like a phenomenal episode, despite not necessarily being like other episodes in like a series or whatever. It's a totally... Every episode can very much stand on its own and be something completely different because of the whole premise of the show. That's what makes it so good. And we're not getting that. And I want it. I want,
I think, yeah.
So sad. But just to go back to your point, I understand the organization point, and I think to an extent that's been the issue of this era. But I like ambition. I know we just got this whole like let's take a big risk in terms of like changing the fabric and whole thing of Doctor Who, but like that's the outlier in terms of this whole era, and that's not something that personally I would have even wanted to be changed. But just in terms of like the actual episodes themselves, like I want them to go more ambitious, I want them to be more creative, I want them to be more interesting, but they're not.
Bigger villain. I think actually it's bigger villain concepts. We haven't really had that big concept villain in this era, have we? I don't think we've had anything that you compare to like the Silence or like the Weeping Angels or like even the Gas Mask. I mean, I'm doing all Moffat ones. He was clearly the best, but even like the Knocking one, Midnight, and the Water, the Flood from Waters of Mars, which I always go to because I mean that's just peak. But even the monks in some ways, not the headless, the monks from series 10, like it was still a bigger concept, right?
Yeah,
that they did this simulation, like that was great sci-fi. Extremis was awesome. But we haven't really had that one that would stick out yet as that real sci-fi concept.
Again, the closest they probably came is Can You Hear Me? Right?
Yeah. That was a good one. I really love that. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That felt a lot like classic Doctor Who to me.
Exactly.
I could see
we
that being
more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really. Yeah, I hope maybe they get that writer back actually in the future. But I guess new Doctor in just over a year because what is August now?
We'll probably hear about the head writer first, like who's going to be the new head writer, because usually that's the way it goes.
Yeah, head writer.
Usually head writer actually at the same time we hear about the Doctor, same time they hear. So like when Moffat took over from Russell T, we had that kind of at the same time.
Oh no, that was ages in advance. No.
Well, no, what I mean is that we heard about Russell.
Oh yes, and then Moffat. Yeah, it's because Doctor was leaving at the same time. They just did. Yeah. Just leaving. I don't think they even have
I think...
writer yet. I think maybe they'll be. It will be soon or just done. But I don't think we'll get an announcement maybe for another after this series.
I think the Doctor we're gonna have to wait a bit to hear.
January.
I think the head writer could be at any point, but I think the Doctor will hear about after the series.
Yeah, after the 6 episodes, maybe after the New Year's special, but so then we'll have the spring and the centenary, and then we meet the new Doctor. It like obviously on screen. It'll be January time that they'll announce new Doctor. They'll wait till the series for sure.
Okay.
Unless there's some leak, and then they just like, well, we want to beat the leak, so.
I don't even know if I want to go too much into the speculation.
No,
the next
I can't be bothered.
because,
I want a
we've
nobody.
sort of tried,
Personally, I want a nobody. I want someone who's at the start of their game, really fresh. They'll bring their all to it, rather than someone who's kind of got other roles and established. I prefer that's what I loved about Matt Smith. What a surprise! What a great surprise!
I think both can work. It just sort of because of course Capaldi came and did a great job. Right?
I know, but then we've kind of had that back to back now. Jodie was kind of done quite a lot.
She wasn't super well known though. She was sort of known, but she wasn't like.
But see, Matt Smith or Tom, and even Tom Baker were not known at all, and I'd argue they're some of the strongest.
I think Tom Baker was a little more known at that point, but yeah, I get your point. Yeah, I know. I mean, so absolutely. I think either can work. I don't necessarily have expectations either way. It'd be cool to get a cool, fresh, actor in the role. But at the same time, I wouldn't say no if we got a slightly more established name.
I guess
if it was somebody really good who could fit into the role, great. I'm not super fast. It's whatever, provided the the next head writer gets in who sort of fits their vision for the show, and that they I feel I'm sort of not too fast. I know all these names are being thrown about, and I'm sort of they'd be cool. They'd be cool. I agree with you that it would be also kind of cool to get a new unknown. But if we don't, cool. Do
you think they'll go for woman or man?
I honestly couldn't say at this point, to be honest. And that's sort of thing. I sort of think going forward, they'll probably cast this far more neutrally, because I know of course before they were generally just going for guys, and then for Jodie it was they specifically went for her to be. Christian was her. I don't think anyone else was auditioned.
No, they just gave it to her, which I kind of I disliked that. Just giving such a role on a plate, I feel like it's well, what happens if you did audition other people and then they were actually better?
Yeah, but it was basically their friendship more or less.
Yeah, that always so it annoys me. It becomes unprofessional also in a way to me. Just to give always work to just your mates. That's the issue. That is an issue within the industry, right? You just give it to your mates, and that's how people don't ever get a chance. And it's that's part of a problem.
But yeah, I wouldn't I don't have a strong preference either way, honestly. In terms of next,
I just want more regular. That's all I want. More regular Doctor Who. I mean, it's insane that we're getting new Doctor Who in a couple of weeks, right? It doesn't feel like it. It honestly, I need enough a trailer to feel, and a release date to be oh my god, new Doctor Who. Because right now, we could get to the end of a year, and I'd be wait, was new Doctor Who? I don't feel like there's any on the horizon, even though there is.
I actually don't even. Yeah, it hasn't even registered to me.
It will be September. It will be September, October. Within a month, we could have Doctor Who. They literally just haven't told us yet.
Yeah, the
crazy, right?
Is so weird for this show. Throughout this whole era, I know the Moffat era, they always revealed too much, but the fact that they're not revealing anything, this is in the complaints, is literally the beginning. Of this era.
The thing is, someone did do an interesting tweet, and they showed how long they released a trailer before the series aired. Now, actually, it was around the same amount of days before the series aired. Okay. Difference is though, there were Christmas specials every year, which also had trailers. So I mean, So you're kind of already like, so the tweet is already a bit like, well, you're kind of cheating there by not counting those Christmas trailers. Then it was also consistently at the same spot basically every year. Like it was very consistent. The fact that we're getting such big gaps and nothing is filling those gaps. So while actually, yes, they're releasing the trailer at the right time before the series airs, but it's all the gaps between it. That's the issue. The bigger the gap, the more empty it feels. So beforehand, it didn't matter because, I mean, you were waiting from the end of a season to the start of the next one was like only like 9 months, 10 months. Like it was really short, the wait between series for like the Russell T Davies era. Now we're waiting like year and a half.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck me, that's a lot longer. That's, double. That is literally double the 9 months. And then it's like, but we'll release a trailer. Yeah, we're less episodes. So then the gap's even longer then, isn't it? Because, Jesus Christ, fuck me. But yeah, new Doctor Who so soon. Crazy. But I think we should wrap it there, hitting that 56, almost hitting an hour. So, yeah, that's kind of it. They're doing this small kind of augmented game thing. Was it augmented reality game?
Yeah, ARG, as they usually put forward. Yeah, I didn't even know this was going on till Nick sent me a thing about it. It's just like, they've already cracked it. It's like, what's happening? What?
Yeah, it kind of crazy.
Because they haven't really pushed it. Like, I was trying to look on the Doctor Who Twitter, and it's just like nothing about it on there.
They're being really quiet about it, which is quite cool. But on Doctor Who Twitter, it was quite a big thing because it came out. It was like it was really faded in that first trailer, the website, and then if you went to there, then it gave you like weird clues. And yeah, I think it will be like to find some content early or something. But I mean, I'm just gonna wait for someone else to crack it, and then I'll just watch it. Because then they'll share it, right? So then it will just spread. So I ain't going to waste my time. I'll wait for other more dedicated people to do so.
People normally do.
Yeah.
These sorts of things.
So there we go. That's it. I will obviously do our episode reacts straight away, our first thoughts when the episode's there. And hopefully when more content drops soon. Maybe we'll be more fortnightly from now on for these kind of just podcasts, or when there's actually news to talk about.
Sure.
Because otherwise we're just kind of filling dead air, Yeah. And we noticed
what's the best Doctor's shoes?
Oh my god, definitely the 6th Doctor. He had these lapels on them, super colourful. That's my final answer. But I mean, yeah, don't exactly get the viewership to condone doing weekly episodes. So I mean, if that picks up, then I would, but obviously it's not down to us. But anyway, so there we go. We'll see. If you made it this far, fucking well done, Jesus Christ. And we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.